This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to Investment Perspectives, everybody. I'm Brad Kimes. Please follow me on Twitter at Backup Bradley, B-A-K-K-U-P, Bradley, L-E-Y, no spaces. Okay, it's whiteboard time. So, couple of questions. We've been listening to the U.S. government talk about a $6 trillion liquidity package. We know a couple weeks ago the major banks sat at a table with the president and did not tell the truth. They said they had plenty of liquidity and there was plenty of capitalization, no problems with them. Well, then why do they need $4 trillion out of the $6 trillion as a first shot in the arm? The other side of this, too, is that we have to remember this global liquidity crisis is just that. It's global. So we're talking about the U.S. and the effects here domestically at home. But the reality here is this, is that this is all across the world that liquidity is an issue. And here is the question. So the first question is where will the liquidity come from? Now, most people are going to first step say, well, the U.S. Treasury is going to print the dollar and then the Fed's going to expand the balance sheet. And that's how they do it normally. And that's what they'll do again here. Okay. But it doesn't solve the problem. It deepens the water for the Fed. So it really doesn't solve the problem. So can they do that? Well, certainly what they've been doing. But does it solve the problem? Well, the answer is no. Second, in 1933, when the United States went through a bankruptcy for the first time, the Federal Reserve, there were many investors that put up good assets, as they called it, to make sure that the 12 Federal Reserve branches had the money they needed to clear legitimate calls when they came in. So let's talk about this. Yesterday, to point to the fact that this is not just specific to the United States, Julia Chatterley from CNN International Go says, urging 76 countries to now not pay their payments on the country's debt, nor the interest. To stop paying the debt on their countries. That's what the conversation was yesterday on mainstream media with Julia Chatterley. She's fantastic. If you're not watching her, you should. I don't have television, but I try to watch the clips that are pertinent. So I thought to myself, this has really been working on me all night here. So I wanted to put this on the whiteboard so we could just talk about this reserve pool theory. So going back to 1993, when they pulled together these good assets, well, good assets in my mind are going to be gold, oil, silver, land, things of that nature that you can count on to collectively hold at least a certain level of value based on usage, right? So I thought to myself, okay, the 76 countries that are in trouble, that are urging to not pay their debt on their country, what if they came together, U.S. included here now, and ponied up some of these good assets like it back in 1933. This is also inspired largely by Cryptopolis, the co-host on Friday mornings, and it is Friday morning this morning. I hope all of you can join us for the show. So what if these 76 countries, including the U.S., ponied up these good assets per se, and instead of going down the same print road and just pushing the Fed deeper and deeper in a hole on its balance sheet that it will not return from, what if they were to take these good assets, put them in a reserve pool, right? Pony up these things in a reserve pool for the ledger. Well, Brad, the the price of XRP, if you haven't seen it this morning, is still 16 cents, Brad. That's a nice idea, but wouldn't we in fact see price action if they put these assets on the ledger? Well, I didn't say on the ledger. I said for the ledger. In fact, it could also potentially be custodied by something like PolySign, maybe, if they tokenized the reserve pool. So that's a potential too. Well, I don't know this. This is obviously a theory, right? But my theory is, if there's this many countries in trouble, they know the old way of fixing things isn't going to happen. There's no one to turn around and borrow from. The central banks have nobody to turn around to and go, hey, can you hook me up? They just don't have it this time. So the reality is well, it's not a reality, but the thought behind this is, if they were to understand this, and believe me, they understand it better than I do, they put together a reserve pool of these good assets, prepare it for the ledger, build this collateral pool, and when they're prepared to, they could begin to issue IOUs for XRP from the reserve pool. Once they do this, it would begin to affect price. Until they were to do this, it would not affect price. Now, this goes into the whole notion from this portion forward, goes into the whole notion of what David Schwartz has talked about. Shout out to him, he's amazing. About the ledger and being able to issue stable coins off of the ledger, or a digital dollar is the language we're hearing these days, right? So potentially this could all be done off of the ledger. However, if they put this pool together, until they issue IOUs against the reserve pool for a sum of XRP, which could then be collateralized for a stable coin or a digital dollar per se, which is saying the same thing essentially, right? No price action happens until the IOUs for the XRP are issued. Once they get the stablecoin digital dollar, then at that point they could begin to get their balance sheet and their house in order. Now imagine this. Each time a country or a series of collateral rounds by all 76, 77 countries were to take place, you could create this stair-step effect in price. Country 1 borrows, country 2 borrows IOUs for XRP and then converts to a stablecoin digital dollar, so on and so on and so forth. Or a series of rounds where all the countries at once are able to take a round, they get their initial draws, then the price stair steps, and then the round 2, the countries draw again. And I'm sure proportionately to each country is what they're going to get something that's prorated. This all ties into the pre-allocation theory. If you haven't watched that, I will post that link to that in the description under this video. Creating this stair-step incremental increase each time they go back and either draw off of the reserve pool or have a series round for all of the countries at once. I don't know, it's a theory. We've all talked about utility and network utility and about how that's going to drive the price up because of the flywheel theory and about how everybody uses it, and then there's a buy back scenario. And I'll post the flywheel theory and the pre-allocation theory in the link in the description box. Please watch those. The network utility in this scenario, should this be somewhere close to accurate here, actually wouldn't be so much the price driver as the price stabilizer. Because that would help maintain the price that you've drawn against and collateralized against by each country that has participated in drawing off and actually in adding to the good assets to the pool gets the right to issue a XRP off of it, also agrees to bring their network utility payment flows as they are issued to it. They increase the utility payment flows to help stabilize and maintain the price. This may possibly be how you stabilize and maintain a very stable, high level of liquidity without the price moving around a lot. You know, will this happen? I don't know. Will any portion thereof happen? I don't know. What I do know is when I asked myself late last night, where will the liquidity come from? I couldn't figure out where. Obviously, there is the same old. Treasury prints money, Fed expands the balance sheet. And who knows? Maybe they're dumb enough to continue to do the same thing. But what I do know is that doesn't solve the problem. What I'm trying to figure out is where does the liquidity from that allows them to solve the problem. I want to shout out to Mickey B. Fresh too, because this was beating me up so bad in my mind. I called him and it was very late. And lucky for me, he was up and able to take the call. So I really do appreciate him allowing me to throw this at him and see what stuck and what didn't. And here we are this morning. I wanted to share it with each one of you. So I want to thank everybody for being here. If you like this content, I do ask you to please share this on your social platform that you're on. Let's broaden the conversation. The more minds that we can bring in on this material, the more insight, the more perspective that we can figure out exactly what and how it's going to happen with our investment. And that's all we're trying to do here, is to inspire the conversation, to inspire the perspective, to be able to keep the conversation going. Until then, hit the like and subscribe, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Don't miss the show this morning, 10 a.m. Cryptopolis. We're going to be dropping it like it's hot. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, take care, guys.